Most Christians don't know, but in order for churches to get tax-exempt status, meaning they don't have to pay federal or state income tax on all the donations or property tax, the government severely limits what the pastor or priest can say during their sermons and restricts what kinds of political activities the church can engage in or endorse. Virtually every official church in the United States is held to these standards because almost every single one of them operates as a 501c3 tax-exempt entity, as opposed to typical businesses which are set up as corporations or a sole proprietorship if they're small. In 1954, then Senator Lyndon B. Johnson, a Democrat, successfully proposed an amendment to the tax code called the Johnson Amendment, which prohibits all 501c3 nonprofit organizations from endorsing or opposing any political candidate or legislation. This means that a church's tax-exempt status could be revoked if it starts incorporating real-world examples into their sermons and denouncing the Democrats' Marxist agenda. Or if they simply were to have said that the country would be better off if Donald Trump was back in the White House. You didn't think that the government granted churches tax-free status because they support Jesus, did you? It was to buy them off and keep them out of the way and diminish their power to organize and influence things politically. Jesus said, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's," meaning you should pay your taxes. But unfortunately, most churches have sold out their First Amendment rights for 30 pieces of silver. Many also don't want to drive people away who may have liberal political views, so they try their best to keep politics out of the church, which is one of the reasons why Christians in America have gotten so soft and afraid to denounce the widespread degeneracy in our culture. But give liberals an inch and they'll demand a mile. President Obama's senior legal advisor suggested that the churches should lose their tax-exempt status if they don't officiate gay weddings, once the Supreme Court ruled in favor of them back in 2015, trying to mandate that we all change the definition of marriage after thousands of years. When Beto O'Rourke was running for president during the 2020 election cycle, he agreed, saying that any churches who refuse to acknowledge gay marriage should lose their tax-exempt status. Such battles have been quietly raging for years. The city of Houston launched an investigation into a local church back in 2014 to determine whether or not to revoke their tax-exempt status. The city issued a subpoena demanding sermon notes and other documents after the lesbian mayor was alerted to the pastor's sermons denouncing a local ordinance the city was trying to pass, which would have allowed those who identify as transgender to use whatever public bathrooms they wanted to, no matter what their biological sex was. The same issue that society is wrestling with today, over 10 years later. A battle that conservatives have basically lost because of systemic cowardice by churches and Republicans in Congress who were afraid to settle these issues 10 years ago before the Rainbow Revolution took over America. A United Methodist church that owns a Boardwalk Pavilion in New Jersey lost their tax-exempt status in 2007 after they wouldn't allow a lesbian couple to use the location for their wedding. Gay marriage wasn't even legal at the time in New Jersey, let alone nationally, but they requested to use the pavilion for their ceremony anyway and were denied, so they sued and the court ruled in their favor. After members of the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as they like to call themselves, helped organize support for Proposition 8 in California, which banned gay marriage throughout the entire state back in 2008. LGBTQ groups tried to get their tax-exempt status revoked. While I'll try to be polite here, strongly disagree with the basic doctrines of Mormonism, like the existence of the golden plates Joseph Smith said that he found and magically translated by reading them through a magic seer stone, and that Jesus is Lucifer's brother, and that you can become your own God when you die, and that God lives on the planet Kolob, and basically everything that the cult teaches while using the veneer of a Christian organization. I do respect that they did something to impress their conservative values upon the world and put their money where their mouth is. And the LDS Church does have a lot of money. When the San Francisco Archbishop issued a notice that the Catholic Church would refuse then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi communion communion because of her very vocal pro-abortion stance. The hashtag tax the church started trending on Twitter from so many people demanding the IRS pull their tax-exempt status as well. Pastor Greg Locke, a popular social media personality and head of a church in Tennessee, faced calls to have his church lose its tax-exempt status after a video went viral of him railing against abortion and the Democrat Party.
I'm to the place right now, if you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation.
After his rant made headlines and sparked calls to pull his 501c3 status, he claimed that he would dissolve his church's 501c3 status himself so that the government couldn't tell him what he can and cannot say. Far worse, the church is afraid to weigh in on political issues out of concerns that they might lose their tax-exempt status, or hoping to avoid offending churchgoers, thus driving away some Democrat attendees along with their donations if the pastor is too overtly conservative, are those who openly teach or accept things that the Bible clearly opposes. Most churches in America are afraid to denounce gay couples buying children through adoption, or worse, bringing them into the world through surrogacy, like Pete Buttigieg or Dave Rubin, Conservative Inc.'s favorite gay guy. But some churches have even gone further and hired openly gay pastors. And not just churches in San Francisco, churches in Birmingham, Alabama, Madison, Wisconsin, Baptist churches in Louisville, Kentucky, United Methodist churches in Texas, and more. If you search Google for church hires openly gay pastor, there are countless news stories from local outlets about supposed churches across the country which are doing it. Soon, these apostate churches will likely print Bible editions that exclude various parts of the scripture that the popular culture in America objects to in order to modernize the Bible and make it more politically correct. A Chicago area church announced that it was fasting from whiteness for Lent one year, the Christian tradition in various denominations giving up something for the period preceding Easter to commemorate the 40 days Jesus spent in the desert fasting and being tempted by Satan. Their fast involved giving up music created by white people during the worship and instead used music from black people. They even put a fasting from whiteness sign in their front lawn. Other churches across America have given sermons denouncing white privilege and shown solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. Drag shows are even being held in supposed Christian churches. In 2019, the Fairview Community Church in Costa Mesa, California held one which may have been the first supposed church to do so. A few months later, that same year, South Bay Pentecostal Church in San Diego held one, followed by the Trinity Episcopal Church in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, a few months after that. The Episcopal Church, by the way, is an apostate organization that claims to be Christian while accepting gays and lesbians as pastors and officially supports abortion. So it shouldn't be surprising that they are holding drag queen story hour events, but many different denominations are doing so. A private Episcopal Christian school in Manhattan that charges nearly $60,000 a year for tuition forced students to attend a drag show inside its chapel. Footage of the event was posted online showing a drag queen singing and dancing up and down the aisle in between the pews, shocking actual Christians and non-Christians who are just conservative but obviously see it's desecrating a church. A Lutheran church in the Chicago area hosted a drag queen story hour event at the end of 2021 where the church's pastor was the drag queen. As usual, photos of the event were proudly posted on social media by the perpetrators that want to celebrate what they've done. More churches continue to follow. Drag queen story hour events are in churches now. That's where we're at. And don't even get me started on this guy.
God is gay. God is a lesbian. God is trans. God is gender non-binary. God is straight. God is cisgender. God is black. God is white. God is Middle Eastern. God is Asian. God is differently abled mentally and physically. God is able-bodied. God is you, and you are God.
That's Caleb J. Lyons, the pastor of University Christian Church in San Diego. As bizarre as drag shows are, they had always been considered exclusively an adult form of entertainment until the early 2010s, when the LGBT community began openly targeting children. And despite what these satanic churches and their pastors say about it, the Bible is very clear on God's view of cross-dressing. Deuteronomy 22 verse 5 says, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God." Aside from the weirdos who find gratification dressing as women, also known as autogynephilia, cross-dressing has also been used for comedic effect for generations because it's so strange to see a man dressed up as a woman or pretending to be one. And so countless films and TV shows have used the bit to get laughs. Classics like Some Like It Hot, which came out in 1959, Mrs. Doubtfire, and sketch comedy shows from In Living Color and Saturday Night Live to Tyler Perry's movies have used it as a staple bit. But now it's considered to be offensive and hateful to laugh at men who dress as women. And instead, we're supposed to not just take them seriously, but put them on a pedestal as freedom fighters for inclusion and diversity. I, for one, am tired of it, and tired of cowardly Christians and cowardly conservatives. I'm Mark Dice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here. If you like my more serious monologues like this, then you'll love reading my books. So order my latest one, The War on Conservatives, in paperback and now hardcover from Amazon.com, or download the ebook from any of the major ebook stores, Kindle iBooks, Nook, or Google Play. These monologues are toned down sections of my book that I have to carefully navigate here on YouTube, so they hopefully won't get taken down for wrongthink. But if you want my complete uncensored analysis, along with nearly 1,000 footnotes, sourcing all the material, which makes not just a very informative read for those who keep up with the news, but also a valuable resource to give to others to help wake them up as well, head on over to Amazon.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.